The Best Self Formula, the proven path to becoming the best version of yourself. Published by Timeless Audiobook. Introduction. Every great life begins with a decision that no one else can make for you, the decision to become someone better than you were yesterday. Success is not reserved for the lucky, the gifted, or the fearless. It belongs to those who are willing to grow, improve, and keep moving forward, even when progress feels slow. Becoming the best version of yourself is not about changing who you are at your core. It is about uncovering the strength, wisdom, discipline, and potential that have always existed within you, waiting to be developed through consistent action. Life has a remarkable way of rewarding people who choose growth over comfort, responsibility over excuses, and purpose over distraction. Every habit you build, every choice you make, and every challenge you overcome quietly shapes the person you are becoming. Day after day, these seemingly ordinary moments create an extraordinary future. The life you dream about is not built in a single breakthrough. It is built through countless small decisions that align with the person you want to become. In this audiobook, we will explore the timeless principles that transform ordinary people into the very best versions of themselves. You will discover how to build an empowering identity, take complete ownership of your life, strengthen your mind, develop lasting self-discipline, raise your standards, overcome setbacks, cultivate meaningful relationships, and continue growing for the rest of your life. Each chapter will offer practical ideas that you can begin applying immediately, regardless of your age, background, or current circumstances. This is not a journey toward perfection. It is a journey toward progress, a commitment to becoming wiser, stronger, kinder, more confident, and more intentional with each passing day. Your future self is being created by the choices you make today. The question is not whether you have the potential to become your best self. The question is whether you are ready to begin. Chapter 1. Define the person you refuse to stop becoming. Every meaningful transformation begins long before the results become visible. It begins with a decision, a quiet, personal decision about the kind of person you are determined to become. Before success can change your life, your identity must change your thinking. Before your habits improve, your self-image must improve. The direction of your life is shaped not only by what you do each day, but by who you believe you are. If you see yourself as someone who gives up easily, your actions will eventually reflect that belief. If you see yourself as someone who learns, adapts, and perseveres, your actions will begin to follow that identity instead. Becoming your best self always starts on the inside. Many people focus entirely on goals. They say they want to become healthier, wealthier, more confident, or more successful. Goals are valuable because they give us direction, but they cannot carry us through the difficult days. When motivation disappears, identity remains. A goal says, I want to run a marathon. An identity says, I am someone who takes care of my body. A goal says, I want financial freedom. An identity says, I am someone who makes wise decisions with money. One depends on achieving a future outcome. The other influences every choice you make today. That is why identity is far more powerful than ambition alone. Imagine planting the seed of an oak tree. You would never expect it to become a rose bush because its identity is already determined. In much the same way, your daily actions grow from the beliefs you hold about yourself. If you continue believing that you are disorganized, unlucky, or incapable, those beliefs quietly shape your behavior. But the moment you begin to define yourself differently, your actions slowly begin to change as well. Growth becomes a natural expression of the person you believe you are becoming. This does not mean pretending to be someone you are not. It means choosing the qualities you want to develop and acting in harmony with them. You may not feel disciplined today, but you can choose to become a disciplined person. You may not feel courageous yet, but you can begin making courageous decisions. Confidence is not a requirement for growth. Confidence is often the reward that comes after repeatedly acting in alignment with your chosen identity. One of the greatest mistakes people make is allowing their past to define their future. Perhaps you have failed before. Perhaps you have quit on important goals, made poor decisions, or spent years doubting yourself. Those experiences are part of your story, but they do not have to become your identity. The person you were yesterday is not the person you must remain tomorrow. Every sunrise offers an opportunity to make a different decision. Every new choice becomes another brick in the foundation of your future character. Ask yourself a simple question. Who do I want to become? Not what do I want to own? Not what title do I want to have? Not what recognition do I hope to receive? Who do I want to become when no one is watching? Do you want to become dependable, wise, patient, disciplined, honest, courageous, generous? These qualities create a life that remains meaningful long after achievements fade. They shape your relationships, your decisions, and your influence on others. Once you have defined the person you want to become, let that identity guide your everyday choices. Before making a decision, ask yourself, what would the best version of me do in this moment? The answer may not always be easy, but it will almost always be clear. The best version of you chooses growth over comfort, responsibility over excuses, learning over pride, and persistence over surrender. Every time you make a choice that reflects that identity, you strengthen it. Like a muscle that grows stronger with repeated use, your character develops one decision at a time. Never underestimate the power of small, consistent actions. Great lives are rarely built through dramatic moments alone. They are built through ordinary days, lived with extraordinary intention. The person you become is not determined by one perfect decision, but by hundreds of faithful ones. Define the person you refuse to stop becoming, and then give yourself permission to become that person, one choice, one habit, and one day at a time. Chapter 2. Stop waiting for a better life to find you. A better life rarely arrives as a surprise. It is not delivered by luck, perfect timing, or someone else's approval. It is created by the choices you make when you stop waiting and start acting. Many people spend years believing that one day everything will fall into place. They tell themselves they will begin after they have more time, more money, more confidence, or more experience. But life has a way of rewarding movement, not hesitation. The longer you wait for ideal conditions, the longer your dreams remain exactly where they are, unfinished. Waiting often disguises itself as preparation. You convince yourself that you are simply being careful, but deep down, fear may be making the decisions for you. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of making the wrong choice. These fears can become comfortable because they give you permission to delay action. Yet every successful person eventually reaches a moment when they realize that certainty is impossible. They move forward anyway. Progress has never belonged to those who waited until they felt completely ready. It belongs to those who were willing to begin before they had all the answers. Taking ownership of your life means accepting a simple but powerful truth. No one is coming to rescue you. That idea may sound challenging at first, but it is actually liberating. When you stop expecting someone else to change your circumstances, you discover that you have far more influence over your future than you once believed. You may not control every event that happens to you, but you always have control over your response. That response becomes the starting point for every positive change. Consider the story of Garrett Collins, a real estate appraiser who spent nearly a decade believing his career had stalled because of his employer. He often complained that promotions went to other people, the market was unfair, and successful professionals simply had better connections. Every conversation ended with another reason why he could not move forward. One evening, after reflecting on where his life was heading, he realized that while he could not control the economy or his company, he could control his own growth. He began studying advanced property valuation, improved his communication skills, expanded his professional network, and volunteered for more challenging assignments. Within 2 years, new opportunities appeared, not because luck had finally arrived, but because Garrett had become the kind of professional those opportunities were looking for. His story reminds us that circumstances often begin to change after we do. Growth starts when excuses end. Every complaint asks someone else to solve your problem. Every act of responsibility asks, "What can I do today?" That simple question shifts your attention away from obstacles and towards solutions. It replaces helplessness with action and frustration with purpose. There will always be reasons to postpone your dreams. The calendar will never suddenly become empty. Challenges will not disappear overnight. Confidence will not arrive before your first step. In fact, confidence usually follows action, not the other way around. Every small promise you keep to yourself strengthens your belief that you are capable of handling more. One completed task leads to another. One courageous decision opens the door to the next. This does not mean blaming yourself for everything that has happened in your life. Difficult circumstances, unexpected setbacks, and unfair situations are real. They deserve honesty, not denial. But allowing those experiences to define the rest of your future only gives them more power than they deserve. Responsibility is not about carrying unnecessary guilt. It is about recognizing the power you still have, regardless of what has happened before. Every morning presents a quiet invitation. You can wait for life to improve on its own, or you can become the person who improves it. One path depends on chance, the other depends on choice. The moment you stop waiting for a better life to find you and begin building it yourself, you take back the most valuable thing you possess, your ability to shape your own future. That decision may seem small today, but over time it becomes the turning point that changes everything. Chapter 3. Win the first hour and the rest will follow. The way you begin your day has a quiet influence over everything that follows. Before the emails arrive, before the phone starts ringing, and before the demands of the world begin pulling at your attention, you are given something incredibly valuable, a fresh beginning. That first hour is more than 60 minutes on a clock. It is an opportunity to choose the direction of your day instead of allowing your day to choose the direction for you. Many people wake up and immediately surrender their attention. They reach for their phone, scroll through headlines, answer messages, or compare their lives to what they see on social media. Before they have even taken a full breath, their minds are already crowded with other people's priorities. By the time they finally begin their own work, they feel rushed, distracted, and mentally exhausted. They have allowed the outside world to take control before they ever had the chance to take control of themselves. Imagine beginning your morning differently. Instead of reacting, you decide to lead. You wake up with intention. You spend a few quiet moments gathering your thoughts. You remind yourself of the kind of person you are becoming. You move your body, drink a glass of water, read a few pages of an encouraging book, write down your most important goal for the day, or simply sit in silence and prepare your mind. None of these actions are complicated, yet together they create something powerful. They tell your mind that you are in charge. The purpose of a strong morning is not to create a perfect routine. Perfection is fragile. The moment one part of the routine is interrupted, many people give up completely. The goal is consistency, not perfection. Even a simple 15-minute routine practiced every day will shape your life more than an elaborate 2-hour routine that lasts only a week. Your morning should support your life, not become another source of pressure. Think of your first hour as setting the thermostat for the day. A thermostat quietly influences the temperature of an entire room. In the same way, your early choices influence your thoughts, your emotions, and your decisions throughout the day. If you begin with calmness, purpose, and focus, you are more likely to respond wisely when challenges appear. If you begin with stress and distraction, even small problems can feel overwhelming. Winning the first hour also means deciding what deserves your best energy. Every day, you have moments when your mind is at its sharpest. Too often, those moments are spent reacting to small tasks instead of making meaningful progress. Ask yourself, what is the one thing I can do this morning that will make today successful? It may be working on an important project, exercising, learning a new skill, or having a meaningful conversation. Completing that one important action early creates momentum that carries into the rest of the day. Momentum is one of the most valuable forces in personal growth. Once you begin moving in the right direction, continuing becomes easier. One healthy choice often leads to another. One productive hour encourages another productive hour. Success rarely appears all at once. It grows from small victories that build confidence little by little. Every morning gives you a chance to create that momentum again. There will be mornings when you feel tired or unmotivated. On those days, remember that discipline matters more than emotion. You do not need to feel inspired to make your bed, stretch for a few minutes, review your goals, or begin your most important task. Feelings come and go, but your actions shape your future. The people who consistently grow are not the ones who always feel motivated. They are the ones who continue showing up, even on ordinary days. Another important habit is protecting your mornings from unnecessary noise. Not every message requires an immediate response. Not every notification deserves your attention. When you constantly interrupt yourself, your mind never has the opportunity to settle into deep focus. Give yourself permission to delay distractions until you have invested in your own priorities first. The world can wait a little while. Your future should not. Remember that every sunrise offers a clean page. Yesterday's mistakes do not have to dictate today's decisions. Perhaps yesterday was unproductive. Perhaps you lost your focus or abandoned your plans. That does not matter now. Today gives you another opportunity to begin well. One good morning cannot change your entire life, but hundreds of good mornings certainly can. Never underestimate how ordinary moments shape extraordinary lives. A quiet morning walk, a page from a meaningful book, a few minutes of reflection, a written goal, or an early start on meaningful work may seem insignificant on their own. Yet these small actions, repeated over months and years, gradually transform your character. You become more focused, more disciplined, more confident, and more intentional without even noticing the change day by day. If you want to become the best version of yourself, stop looking for dramatic breakthroughs and start honoring the beginning of each day. Win the first hour, not because every morning will be perfect, but because every intentional beginning strengthens the person you are becoming. When you consistently choose purpose over distraction and action over delay, you create a foundation strong enough to support every dream that follows. Chapter 4. Replace limiting beliefs before they replace your future. Every action begins with a thought, and every thought is shaped by something even deeper, your beliefs. Long before you speak, decide, or act, your mind quietly asks one question: what do I believe is possible? The answer to that question influences nearly every part of your life. If you believe you can grow, you will look for opportunities to improve. If you believe you are destined to fail, you will often stop trying before you have given yourself a real chance. Your beliefs become the invisible framework that supports or limits your future. The challenge is that many limiting beliefs do not sound dramatic. They often appear as ordinary thoughts that have been repeated so many times they feel like facts. You may hear a quiet voice that says, "I'm not a natural leader. I'm too old to start over. I'm just not disciplined. People like me never become successful. None of these statements are proven truths. They are conclusions. Somewhere along the way, a disappointment, a criticism, or a failure convinced you to accept them. The danger is not that you have these thoughts. The danger is believing them without questioning them. Imagine carrying around a pair of glasses with smudged lenses. After wearing them for years, you might forget they are dirty. You would assume the world itself looks dull and unclear. In the same way, limiting beliefs distort the way you see yourself and your possibilities. They cause you to underestimate your strengths, overlook opportunities, and expect failure before you even begin. The problem is not always your ability. Sometimes it is simply the lens through which you view yourself. The encouraging news is that beliefs can be changed. They are learned, which means they can also be unlearned. That process begins by becoming aware of the stories you repeatedly tell yourself. Listen carefully to your inner conversations. When you face a challenge, what is your first reaction? Do you immediately think, I can't do this? Or do you ask, how can I learn to do this? One response closes the door before you even touch the handle. The other opens a path toward growth. Consider the story of Caleb Whitmore, a public high school principal who quietly struggled with self-doubt despite years of experience. Whenever he attended leadership conferences, he admired other educators, but convinced himself they possessed qualities he simply lacked. He rarely shared his ideas during meetings because he believed they were not valuable enough. One day, after receiving encouragement from a mentor, Caleb began paying attention to the way he spoke to himself. He realized that his greatest obstacle was not his ability to lead, but his belief that he was unqualified. He challenged that belief by preparing more thoroughly, speaking up during discussions, and accepting opportunities that once intimidated him. Over time, his confidence grew, not because he became a different person overnight, but because he stopped allowing an outdated belief to define him. His school flourished under his leadership, and so did his own sense of purpose. Caleb's story reminds us that confidence is rarely something we discover. More often, it is something we build by repeatedly proving our old beliefs wrong. Every time you step outside your comfort zone, every time you complete something you once thought impossible, you collect evidence that your limitations are not permanent. Your mind begins replacing old stories with new ones, and those new stories shape a stronger future. This does not mean pretending that challenges do not exist. Honest thinking is different from negative thinking. Honest thinking says, "This will be difficult, but I can learn." Negative thinking says, "This is difficult, so I should not even try." One approach encourages growth, the other guarantees stagnation. The goal is not blind optimism. The goal is realistic confidence, the belief that effort, learning, and persistence can improve your situation over time. One powerful habit is to replace every limiting statement with a growth-focused question. Instead of saying, "I'm not good at this," ask, "What skill do I need to develop?" Instead of saying, "I always fail," ask, "What lesson can I take from this experience?" Questions move your mind toward solutions, while fixed statements often keep it trapped in frustration. The quality of your questions often determines the quality of your future. Remember that no one else has the authority to define your potential. Your past does not own your future. Other people's opinions do not determine your capabilities. Even your previous failures cannot predict what you are capable of becoming if you continue learning and growing. The only belief that deserves a permanent place in your mind is this: you are capable of becoming better than you are today. The future you create will always reflect the beliefs you choose to nurture. Feed your mind with possibility instead of doubt. Challenge every thought that tells you growth is impossible. Replace fear with curiosity, excuses with responsibility, and self-criticism with a willingness to improve. When you change what you believe about yourself, you begin changing what you expect from yourself. And when your expectations rise, your actions begin to rise with them. That is how lasting transformation begins from the inside out. Chapter 5. Choose progress over perfection. Every single day. Perfection is one of the most convincing excuses for never beginning. It whispers that you need a better plan, more knowledge, the perfect opportunity, or the right moment before you can take the first step. At first, that voice sounds reasonable. After all, who doesn't want to do something well? But hidden beneath the desire for perfection is often a fear of making mistakes. And when fear controls your decisions, progress comes to a standstill. Think about how children learn to walk. They do not wait until they are certain they will never fall. They stumble, lose their balance, and try again. Every awkward step teaches them something the previous step could not. If they demanded perfection from themselves, they would never leave the floor. Yet somewhere along the way, many adults begin believing that mistakes are signs of weakness instead of signs of learning. They become so focused on avoiding failure that they also avoid growth. The truth is that your first attempt at almost anything will be imperfect. Your first speech may be nervous. Your first business idea may need improvement. Your first workout may leave you exhausted. Your first chapter of a book may require rewriting. None of these outcomes mean you are incapable. They simply mean you are learning. Every expert you admire once produced work that fell far short of excellence. The difference is that they continued improving instead of quitting. Progress asks only one thing of you: become a little better than you were yesterday. It does not demand dramatic change overnight. It does not expect flawless performance. It simply invites you to keep moving forward. A single page read today may not make you an expert, but reading consistently for a year will expand your knowledge in ways you cannot imagine. A short walk today may not transform your health, but repeated over months, it becomes part of a healthier life. Small improvements often appear insignificant in the moment, yet they quietly accumulate into extraordinary results. One reason people abandon their goals is because they measure success too far into the future. They compare today's effort with tomorrow's dream and become discouraged by the distance between the two. Instead, learn to celebrate evidence of progress. Did you make a healthier choice today than yesterday? Did you spend 20 focused minutes on an important project? Did you respond more patiently during a difficult conversation? Those moments matter because they represent movement. Every meaningful life is built from countless moments that seemed ordinary at the time. It is also important to understand that progress is rarely a straight line. Some days you will move forward with confidence. Other days you may feel as though you have taken a step backward. That is part of every worthwhile journey. A single difficult day does not erase months of good decisions. One missed workout does not destroy your fitness. One poor financial decision does not prevent future wisdom. What matters most is returning to the path instead of convincing yourself that one mistake has ruined everything. Many people fall into what could be called the all-or-nothing mindset. They believe that if they cannot do something perfectly, there is no point in doing it at all. If they cannot exercise for an hour, they skip exercise entirely. If they cannot finish an entire project, they refuse to begin. If they eat one unhealthy meal, they abandon healthy eating for the rest of the week. This way of thinking creates unnecessary setbacks because it ignores the value of imperfect consistency. Imagine placing one brick every day while building a house. At the end of the first week, the progress may seem small. After a month, it is still incomplete. But if you continue laying one brick every single day, eventually walls begin to rise, rooms begin to take shape, and a home emerges where there was once only empty ground. Personal growth works the same way. Every disciplined choice, every lesson learned, every courageous conversation, and every small improvement becomes another brick in the life you are building. Give yourself permission to be a beginner. There is no shame in learning. In fact, the willingness to begin without mastery is one of the greatest strengths you can develop. Pride says, if I cannot do it perfectly, I will not do it. Wisdom says, every master was once a beginner. The sooner you accept that growth requires imperfect action, the faster you will improve. At the end of each day, ask yourself a simple question. Did I move forward today? The answer does not need to be dramatic. Perhaps you learned one new idea, kept one promise to yourself, overcame one temptation, or completed one meaningful task. Those small victories deserve your attention because they create momentum. Momentum creates consistency, and consistency shapes character. The best version of yourself is not created through perfect days. It is created through faithful days. Days when you choose effort instead of excuses. Days when you continue despite setbacks. Days when you improve by one small step instead of demanding impossible leaps. Progress may seem slow, but slow progress is still progress. Keep moving, keep learning, and keep becoming. Over time, the small improvements you make every single day will become the extraordinary life you once imagined. Chapter 6. Raise your standards until your habits follow. Every life is governed by a set of standards, whether those standards are spoken or unspoken. Your standards determine what you accept, what you reject, and what you expect from yourself. They quietly shape your daily choices, your relationships, your work ethic, and your future. If your standards are low, your habits will eventually settle at that level. But when you raise your standards, your habits begin to rise with them. You no longer act differently because someone is watching. You act differently because you have decided that a higher level of living has become your new normal. Many people try to change their habits without changing their standards. They promise to wake up earlier, exercise more, read every day, or spend less money. These are worthwhile goals, but they often fade because they are built on temporary motivation instead of lasting expectations. Motivation asks, do I feel like doing this today? A higher standard says, this is simply what I do. One depends on emotion. The other depends on identity. Think about someone who always keeps their word. They do not wake up every morning wondering whether they should be honest today. Honesty has become one of their personal standards. In the same way, someone who values excellence does not constantly debate whether to prepare well, arrive on time, or finish strong. Those behaviors flow naturally because they have become part of the standard they have chosen for their life. The higher your standards become, the fewer decisions you have to struggle with. One question can reveal the standards you currently live by. What do I consistently tolerate? Do you tolerate constant lateness? Do you tolerate unfinished work? Do you tolerate negative thinking, unhealthy habits, or broken promises to yourself? Whatever you repeatedly accept eventually becomes part of your life. Change begins the moment you decide that certain behaviors no longer belong in the future you are building. Consider the story of Logan Pierce, a construction project manager who was respected for his technical knowledge but frustrated by the direction of his personal life. He often arrived home exhausted, skipped exercise, relied on convenience foods, and rarely made time to learn new skills. He kept telling himself that things would improve once work became less demanding, but that day never came. Eventually, Logan realized the issue was not his schedule. It was the standard he had accepted. He had unconsciously decided that surviving the day was good enough. Instead of trying to transform everything at once, Logan made one important decision. He raised his personal expectations. He committed to arriving prepared for every meeting, exercising at least 30 minutes each day, reading for 20 minutes every evening, and treating every commitment to himself with the same seriousness he gave to commitments at work. At first, those changes felt uncomfortable. There were mornings when he wanted to sleep longer, and evenings when he preferred to relax instead of reading. But he reminded himself that these actions were no longer optional. They reflected the kind of man he had decided to become. Months later, his energy improved, his confidence grew, and even his performance at work reached a new level. His habits changed because his standards had changed first. This is how lasting transformation usually happens. You stop negotiating with yourself over every positive decision. You stop asking whether you feel motivated enough to do what matters. Instead, you create personal rules that guide your behavior. You become someone who finishes what they start, someone who speaks with integrity, someone who continues learning, someone who treats their health, time, and relationships with respect. These standards become the foundation of your character. Raising your standards does not mean expecting perfection from yourself. It means refusing to settle for less than you know you are capable of becoming. There will still be difficult days. You may occasionally fall short of your own expectations. When that happens, do not lower the standard. Rise again to meet it. One mistake does not erase the person you are becoming unless you decide to stop trying. It is also important to remember that the people around you often respond to the standards you set. If you respect your own time, others are more likely to respect it as well. If you consistently deliver quality work, people begin to trust your reliability. If you speak with kindness and integrity, you encourage those qualities in your relationships. The standards you live by quietly influence the environment around you. Every morning gives you a fresh opportunity to ask one simple question. What does the best version of me expect from today? Let the answer shape your choices. Raise the standard for how you think, how you speak, how you work, and how you care for yourself. Do not wait until success changes your habits. Raise your standards first, and your habits will gradually follow. Over time, those habits will shape your character, and your character will shape the remarkable life you are creating. Chapter 7. Guard your attention like your greatest asset. Your attention is one of the most valuable resources you possess. Unlike money, once a moment of attention is spent, you can never earn it back. Every day, countless people, devices, advertisements, and distractions compete for it because they understand something many people forget. Where your attention goes, your life follows. Whatever consistently occupies your mind eventually shapes your habits, your decisions, and your future. If you want to become the best version of yourself, you must learn to protect your attention with the same care you would protect your health or your most valuable possessions. Many people believe they struggle because they lack time. In reality, they often lack focused attention. Two people can have the same 24 hours in a day, yet one steadily moves toward meaningful goals while the other ends the day wondering where the time went. The difference is rarely found in the clock. It is found in where each person directs their mind. Think about how easy it is to lose focus. You sit down to complete an important task. A notification appears on your phone. You check one message, then another. A few minutes later, you begin reading something completely unrelated to your original goal. Before long, an hour has disappeared. Nothing dramatic happened. No major crisis interrupted your work. Your attention was simply pulled away, one small distraction at a time. Distractions are rarely dangerous because they are large. They are dangerous because they are constant. A few minutes here and a few minutes there may not seem significant, but they quietly steal hours from every week and months from every year. More importantly, they prevent you from doing the deep thinking that produces meaningful growth. Great ideas rarely appear in minds that are constantly interrupted. This is why learning to focus is not just a productivity skill, it is a life skill. When you give your full attention to one meaningful task, you improve the quality of your work. When you give your full attention to a conversation, you strengthen relationships. When you give your full attention to learning, you understand ideas more deeply. Attention is the foundation of excellence because excellence requires presence. One helpful practice is to stop asking, "What should I do next?" Instead, ask, "What deserves my full attention right now?" Those two questions lead to very different lives. The first often creates endless activity. The second creates meaningful progress. There will always be dozens of things demanding your time, but only a few truly deserve your best energy. Your environment also plays a powerful role in shaping your attention. If your workspace is filled with distractions, your mind will naturally wander. If your phone is always within reach, you will constantly feel tempted to check it. Small changes can make a remarkable difference. Place your phone out of sight while working. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Keep your workspace organized. Decide in advance when you will check messages instead of allowing messages to decide when they will interrupt you. These simple choices reduce the number of decisions your mind has to make and allow your focus to remain where it matters most. It is equally important to guard your mental attention. Not every opinion deserves space in your mind. Not every argument deserves your response. Not every piece of news requires your emotional energy. Some people spend so much time thinking about problems they cannot control that they neglect the opportunities they can control. A wise person learns to distinguish between what deserves attention and what merely demands it. There is also great value in creating moments of quiet. The modern world celebrates constant stimulation, but growth often happens in stillness. During quiet moments, your mind organizes ideas, solves problems, and reflects on what truly matters. Whether you take a walk without your phone, spend a few minutes in silence each morning, or simply sit with your thoughts after a busy day, these moments allow your attention to recover. A rested mind sees possibilities that an overwhelmed mind often misses. Remember that every time you say yes to one thing, you are saying no to something else. Saying yes to endless distractions often means saying no to your dreams. Saying yes to meaningful work means saying no to unnecessary interruptions. These choices may seem small, but they accumulate over time. Your future will reflect not only the goals you set, but also the things you consistently choose to focus on. Ask yourself at the beginning of each day, what deserves the best of my attention today? Then protect that answer. Do not allow temporary distractions to steal what is most important. Give your full presence to your work, your learning, your health, and the people you love. The quality of your attention determines the quality of your life. The best version of yourself is not created by doing everything. It is created by giving your best attention to the things that matter most. When you learn to guard your attention, you gain something far more valuable than productivity. You gain the ability to live each day with purpose, clarity, and intention. And that is one of the greatest investments you can ever make in your future. Chapter 8. Keep the promises you make to yourself. One of the strongest forms of confidence is not built by praise from other people, it is built through trust in yourself. Every time you make a promise to yourself and keep it, you send a powerful message to your mind. I can depend on myself. That quiet belief becomes the foundation of discipline, resilience, and lasting self-respect. On the other hand, every promise you repeatedly break weakens that foundation. Over time, you begin doubting your own ability to follow through, not because you lack potential, but because your actions have taught your mind that your own words cannot always be trusted. Think about how trust is built in any relationship. It does not happen through one grand gesture. It grows through consistency. A friend who keeps showing up when they say they will earns your confidence over time. A co-worker who reliably completes their responsibilities becomes someone others can count on. The same principle applies to the relationship you have with yourself. Your self-trust is built one kept promise at a time. Many people unknowingly damage this relationship every day. They promise themselves they will wake up early, but they hit the snooze button several times. They promise to start exercising next week, but another excuse appears. They promise to save money, read more books, or spend more time with family, yet those commitments quietly disappear beneath the demands of everyday life. Individually, these moments may seem small. Together, they shape the way you see yourself. The good news is that rebuilding self-trust does not require dramatic changes. In fact, it usually begins with small commitments that are almost impossible to break. If you promise yourself that you will read 5 pages every evening, then read those 5 pages. If you decide to take a 15-minute walk each morning, honor that commitment. If you promise to spend 10 focused minutes working on an important goal, do it. These actions may seem insignificant, but they send a consistent signal to your mind that your word has value. Consider the story of Mitchell Hayes, an occupational therapist who spent years feeling frustrated by his lack of consistency. He was enthusiastic whenever he set new goals, but his motivation faded quickly. He would begin exercise programs with excitement, purchase books he never finished, and make plans that rarely lasted more than a few weeks. Eventually, he stopped believing in his own promises. Every new goal felt temporary before it even began. One day, Mitchell decided to make a different kind of commitment. Instead of creating an ambitious list of goals, he made one simple promise to himself. Every evening before going to bed, he would spend 20 minutes learning something that would improve his professional skills. No matter how busy he felt, no matter how tired he became, he kept that promise. After several weeks, something unexpected happened. He no longer felt proud only because he had gained new knowledge. He felt proud because he had become someone who followed through. That single habit encouraged him to keep other promises as well. He began exercising consistently, organizing his schedule more effectively, and approaching bigger challenges with greater confidence. His life changed because his relationship with himself changed first. Mitchell's story teaches an important lesson. Success often begins with the smallest acts of integrity. Integrity is not only about being honest with other people, it is also about being honest with yourself. When you say you will do something, let your actions match your words. Every kept promise strengthens your character, while every broken promise invites doubt to grow. This does not mean you will never miss a day or make a mistake. Life is unpredictable. Unexpected challenges will interrupt your plans from time to time. The important thing is not to let one missed commitment become a permanent pattern. If you stumble, return to your promise as quickly as possible. One missed day is an event. Giving up completely is a decision. Always choose to begin again. It also helps to stop making promises based on emotion. Excitement can inspire you to start, but it cannot carry you through every ordinary day. Instead of making unrealistic commitments, choose promises that reflect the person you are becoming. A promise should stretch you, but it should also be realistic enough to keep consistently. Small victories repeated over time create far greater transformation than occasional bursts of enthusiasm. Every promise you keep becomes evidence of your own reliability. Over months and years, that evidence reshapes your identity. You stop thinking of yourself as someone who quits easily and begin seeing yourself as someone who finishes what they start. That shift is more valuable than any single achievement because it influences every area of your life. As you continue this journey toward becoming your best self, remember that the most important promises are often the quiet ones that no one else sees. They are the early mornings when you choose discipline over comfort. They are the evenings when you continue learning instead of wasting time. They are the moments when you choose integrity, even though no one is watching. Those decisions build something priceless, a deep and lasting trust in yourself. Keep your word to yourself. Honor the commitments that move you closer to the life you want. When you become someone who can depend on yourself, you no longer wait for confidence to appear. Confidence becomes the natural result of living in alignment with your own promises. And once you trust yourself, there is very little that can stand between you and the person you are determined to become. Chapter 9. Feed your mind better than your comfort. Your mind is constantly being shaped by what you allow into it. Every book you read, every conversation you have, every video you watch, and every thought you repeat leaves a small mark. Most of these influences seem insignificant in the moment, but over time they become the beliefs, habits, and attitudes that define your life. Just as your body reflects the food you consistently eat, your mind reflects the ideas you consistently consume. Growth never happens by accident. It is the result of choosing learning over comfort, curiosity over complacency, and improvement over convenience. The moment you believe there is nothing left to learn is the moment you stop moving forward. The world continues changing whether you choose to grow or not. New ideas emerge, better methods are discovered, and opportunities appear for those who remain willing to learn. The people who continue growing throughout life are rarely the ones who know the most. They are the ones who never stop asking questions. Comfort has a quiet way of convincing you that you already know enough. It tells you to watch one more episode instead of reading one more chapter. It encourages you to repeat familiar routines instead of developing new skills. It persuades you to stay where everything feels safe and predictable. At first, these choices seem harmless, but when comfort becomes your daily habit, growth slowly disappears. Your future is not limited by your ability to learn. It is often limited by your willingness to keep learning. One of the greatest investments you can ever make is in your own mind. Unlike many possessions, knowledge cannot be taken away once it becomes part of you. Skills improve with practice. Wisdom grows through experience. Understanding deepens with reflection. Every lesson you learn becomes a tool that helps you solve future problems, make wiser decisions, and recognize opportunities that others overlook. Learning does not always require a classroom. Some of life's greatest teachers are found in ordinary moments. A thoughtful conversation with someone who has more experience than you can change your perspective. A well-written book can introduce ideas that influence your decisions for years. A mistake can become an unforgettable lesson if you take the time to understand it instead of trying to forget it. Even observing how successful people approach challenges can teach you valuable principles without saying a single word. There is also a difference between collecting information and gaining understanding. In today's world, information is everywhere. You can search almost any topic within seconds, yet knowledge alone does not transform lives. Transformation happens when knowledge is applied. Reading about discipline is helpful, but practicing discipline changes your character. Learning about healthy habits is valuable, but living those habits changes your health. The goal is not simply to know more. The goal is to become better because of what you know. Ask yourself what your mind is feeding on each day. Are you filling it with ideas that strengthen you or with distractions that weaken your focus? Are you spending hours consuming content that leaves you entertained but unchanged? Entertainment has its place, but it should never replace personal growth. A few intentional minutes spent learning something meaningful each day can create more lasting value than hours of mindless distraction. One powerful habit is to become a student of your own life. At the end of each day, reflect on what you learned. Perhaps a conversation taught you patience. Perhaps a challenge revealed a weakness you need to strengthen. Perhaps a success showed you what is possible when you remain consistent. Every experience contains a lesson, but only those who pause to reflect are able to recognize it. Surrounding yourself with people who value growth also makes an enormous difference. Attitudes are contagious. Spend enough time around people who love learning, and their curiosity will influence you. Spend enough time around people who constantly complain, avoid responsibility, or reject new ideas, and that mindset will quietly affect your thinking as well. Choose relationships that encourage you to ask better questions, think more deeply, and continue improving. It is important to remain teachable, no matter how much you accomplish. Success can sometimes create the illusion that you no longer need guidance. In reality, every stage of life presents new lessons. A beginner learns how to start. A leader learns how to serve others. A parent learns patience. An entrepreneur learns resilience. Growth never ends because life never stops presenting opportunities to become wiser. Remember that learning is not a race. You do not need to master everything at once. Read one chapter. Learn one new skill. Ask one thoughtful question. Listen carefully to someone with experience. Apply one useful idea. These small acts of learning, repeated consistently, create remarkable change over time. Just as a single drop of water can eventually shape stone, small daily lessons gradually shape your character. The best version of yourself will always be a lifelong student. Never allow comfort to become more attractive than growth. Feed your mind with ideas that challenge you, inspire you, and help you become wiser than you were yesterday. Every page you read, every lesson you apply, and every question you dare to ask is another step toward the person you are capable of becoming. The more intentionally you nourish your mind, the more confidently you will shape your future. Chapter 10. Respond with strength instead of emotion. Life will test you in ways you never expect. Someone will misunderstand your intentions. A carefully made plan will fall apart. You will face criticism, disappointment, and moments that tempt you to react before you think. These situations are unavoidable. What truly determines the quality of your life is not what happens to you, but how you respond when it does. The strongest people are not those who never experience difficult emotions. They are the ones who have learned not to let those emotions control their decisions. Emotions are a natural part of being human. Joy, excitement, sadness, fear, frustration, and anger all serve a purpose. They remind you that you care, that you are alive, and that your experiences matter. The problem begins when emotions become your leader instead of your messenger. Feelings provide information, but they should not always make your decisions. A moment of anger can damage a friendship. A moment of fear can prevent a life-changing opportunity. A moment of discouragement can cause someone to abandon a dream that was only one more step away from becoming reality. Strength is often quieter than people imagine. It is not found in raising your voice or proving someone wrong. It is found in the ability to pause before reacting. It is choosing patience when everything inside you wants to argue. It is remaining respectful when others become disrespectful. It is refusing to let temporary emotions create permanent consequences. This kind of strength is not weakness. It is self-control, and self-control is one of the greatest forms of personal power. Imagine driving a car down a winding mountain road. The steering wheel must remain in your hands even when unexpected obstacles appear. If every bump or sharp turn caused you to let go of the wheel, the journey would quickly become dangerous. Your emotions are like the changing conditions on that road. Sometimes the weather is calm, and sometimes a storm arrives without warning. But no matter what happens outside the vehicle, you must keep your hands on the wheel. Your values, wisdom, and long-term goals should always guide your direction. Consider the story of Owen Mercer, an insurance broker who built his business by earning the trust of his clients. One afternoon, a long-time customer became upset over a claim that had been delayed. The customer raised his voice, made unfair accusations, and blamed Owen for problems beyond his control. For a brief moment, Owen felt the urge to defend himself with the same intensity. Instead, he took a slow breath, listened without interrupting, and calmly explained the situation. He focused on solving the problem rather than winning the argument. The customer eventually apologized for his behavior and remained one of Owen's most loyal clients for years afterward. Owen later realized that his greatest victory that day was not resolving the claim. It was refusing to let his emotions make the decision for him. Stories like Owen's remind us that emotional strength is built long before challenging moments arrive. You cannot expect to remain calm during major difficulties if you never practice patience during small frustrations. Every traffic delay, every unexpected inconvenience, and every disagreement becomes an opportunity to strengthen your ability to respond wisely instead of reacting impulsively. Small moments prepare you for larger ones. One helpful habit is creating space between what happens and how you respond. That space may last only a few seconds, but it can completely change the outcome of a situation. Before speaking, ask yourself, will these words solve the problem or make it worse? Before making an important decision, ask, am I thinking clearly or am I simply reacting to how I feel right now? Those brief moments of reflection often prevent hours, days, or even years of regret. It is equally important to understand that responding with strength does not mean ignoring your emotions. Healthy emotions should be acknowledged, not buried. If you feel disappointed, admit it. If you feel hurt, recognize it. If you feel anxious, accept that feeling without allowing it to control your actions. There is wisdom in understanding your emotions, but there is even greater wisdom in refusing to become their prisoner. Emotional maturity is not the absence of feeling. It is the ability to feel deeply while still choosing wisely. Forgiveness is another expression of emotional strength. Holding on to resentment may feel justified, but it quietly drains your energy. Every moment spent replaying an old injury is attention taken away from your future. Forgiveness does not always mean forgetting what happened or pretending it was acceptable. It means choosing not to let someone else's actions continue controlling your peace of mind. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give yourself is the freedom to let go. As you continue becoming the best version of yourself, remember that people will often remember how you made them feel long after they forget what you said. Your calmness during conflict, your patience under pressure, and your kindness during difficult moments reveal the depth of your character. Anyone can react. Few people choose to respond with wisdom. The next time life tests your patience, pause before you act. Take a breath. Think beyond the moment. Let your principles guide your choices instead of your emotions. Every time you respond with strength instead of impulse, you become a little wiser, a little stronger, and a little closer to the person you are determined to become. True greatness is not measured by how you behave when life is easy. It is revealed by who you choose to be when life is at its hardest. Chapter 11. Surround yourself with people who stretch you. No one becomes the best version of themselves alone. Every person you spend time with leaves an impression on the way you think, speak, and live. Some people inspire you to aim higher. Others quietly encourage you to settle for less. That influence is not always obvious from one conversation or one afternoon together. It happens gradually through shared attitudes, repeated habits, and the expectations that surround you every day. If you want your life to grow, you must be intentional about the people you allow to shape it. Think about a small plant growing in a garden. Even with good seeds, it cannot flourish if it is deprived of sunlight and healthy soil. In the same way, your potential grows best in an environment that encourages learning, honesty, responsibility, and hope. The people around you become part of that environment. They either help you grow stronger or slowly drain the energy you need to keep moving forward. This does not mean you should only spend time with successful or accomplished people. Success is not measured only by careers, titles, or income. Some of the most valuable people in your life may be those who consistently demonstrate integrity, kindness, humility, patience, or courage. These qualities have a quiet influence. They remind you that true success is not only about what you achieve, but also about who you become along the way. Ask yourself an honest question. How do I usually feel after spending time with the people closest to me? Do you leave those conversations feeling encouraged, motivated, and hopeful? Or do you often leave feeling discouraged, negative, or emotionally exhausted? The answer is not meant to make you judge others. It is meant to help you recognize the influence that different relationships have on your life. One of the greatest gifts a good friend can offer is honest encouragement. Notice that honest encouragement is different from empty praise. A true friend celebrates your progress while also challenging you to keep growing. They are willing to tell you the truth with kindness. They believe in your potential even when you begin doubting yourself. They remind you of your strengths, but they also encourage you to confront your weaknesses with humility instead of avoiding them. Growth often happens when you spend time with people who think differently from you. If everyone around you shares the same opinions, habits, and routines, it becomes easy to remain exactly where you are. But when you meet people with different experiences, different skills, and different perspectives, your own thinking expands. You begin asking better questions. You discover new possibilities. You realize that there are many ways to solve problems and many lessons still waiting to be learned. At the same time, it is important to recognize relationships that repeatedly pull you away from the person you want to become. Some people constantly complain but never seek solutions. Others criticize every dream that requires courage. Some encourage unhealthy habits simply because they are uncomfortable seeing someone else grow. This does not necessarily make them bad people. It simply means they may not be the right voices to guide the direction of your life. One of the most difficult lessons in personal growth is understanding that you cannot carry everyone with you on every stage of your journey. Sometimes people grow together. Sometimes they grow in different directions. Trying to please everyone often leads to abandoning your own purpose. You can continue treating people with kindness and respect while also creating healthy boundaries that protect your peace, your values, and your future. Remember that relationships are not only about receiving encouragement, they are also about giving it. Ask yourself what kind of influence you are becoming in the lives of others. Do you listen carefully when someone needs support? Do you celebrate their victories without jealousy? Do you encourage them to keep improving instead of reminding them why they cannot succeed? Becoming the best version of yourself also means helping others become the best version of themselves. One simple conversation can change the direction of a person's life. A few sincere words of belief may arrive at exactly the moment someone is ready to give up. A thoughtful question may help a friend discover a solution they could not see before. Never underestimate the impact of your own character. Just as others influence you, you also influence everyone around you. It is also wise to seek mentors, whether you know them personally or learn from them through books, interviews, or their life's work. Mentors shorten your learning curve because they have already walked paths you are just beginning. They can help you avoid unnecessary mistakes, see opportunities you might overlook, and remind you that every worthwhile journey includes challenges. Learning from people who have lived with wisdom allows you to borrow experience while building your own. As you continue this journey, choose relationships that stretch your thinking, strengthen your character, and inspire your growth. Spend more time with people who value honesty over excuses, progress over comfort, and purpose over distraction. Become that kind of person yourself. When people of strong character walk together, they do more than improve one another's lives. They create an environment where everyone has the courage to become a little better than they were yesterday. That is the kind of company that helps bring out the very best in you. Chapter 12. Let every setback upgrade your character. Every meaningful life includes setbacks. No matter how carefully you plan, how hard you work, or how determined you become, there will be moments when things do not go your way. A goal will take longer than expected. A trusted relationship may disappoint you. A business idea may fail. An opportunity may disappear just when you thought everything was coming together. These moments can feel discouraging, but they do not have to define your future. What truly matters is not the setback itself. It is the person you choose to become because of it. Many people see failure as a final verdict on their abilities. They think one mistake means they are not talented enough, smart enough, or capable enough. But failure is not a permanent identity. It is a temporary event. It tells you that one approach did not produce the result you wanted. It does not tell you that success is impossible. The greatest danger is not failing once. The greatest danger is allowing one disappointment to convince you to stop trying altogether. Imagine climbing a mountain. Occasionally the trail becomes blocked by fallen trees or loose rocks. You would not conclude that the mountain cannot be climbed. You would simply look for another path. Life works the same way. Obstacles are often signs that you need a different strategy, more patience, or additional preparation. They are not proof that your journey is over. One reason setbacks feel so painful is because they challenge the story we have been telling ourselves. We expect progress to be smooth and predictable. When reality looks different, frustration quickly appears. But growth has never followed a perfectly straight line. It moves through victories and disappointments, confidence and uncertainty, breakthroughs and delays. Every challenge adds another layer of experience that success alone could never provide. Consider the story of Preston Ellis, a landscape architect who dreamed of building his own design firm. After years of working for other companies, he partnered with a close friend and launched a business with great optimism. During the first year, however, projects were delayed, financial pressures increased, and disagreements over leadership became more frequent. Eventually, the partnership dissolved and the business closed its doors. Preston felt embarrassed and questioned whether he was meant to lead a company at all. Instead of allowing that experience to define him, Preston made a different decision. He carefully reviewed every mistake they had made. He realized they had never clearly defined responsibilities, underestimated operating costs, and avoided difficult conversations until problems became impossible to ignore. Rather than seeing those lessons as painful reminders, he treated them as valuable education. Over the next few years, he continued developing his skills, built stronger professional relationships, and eventually started a new business with a clearer vision and wiser leadership. The second company grew steadily because Preston had become a better leader through his first failure. His setback had upgraded his character before it upgraded his success. That is one of life's greatest lessons. Challenges often prepare you for responsibilities you are not yet ready to carry. Patience develops when things take longer than expected. Humility grows when you realize you do not have all the answers. Courage strengthens each time you choose to continue after disappointment. These qualities cannot be purchased, borrowed, or learned from comfort alone. They are earned by walking through difficulty without giving up. Whenever you experience a setback, resist the urge to ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead, ask, "What is this experience trying to teach me?" That simple question changes everything. It shifts your attention away from self-pity and toward personal growth. Every disappointment contains a lesson, but only those who remain willing to learn will discover it. It is also important to remember that recovery begins with honesty. Do not ignore your mistakes or blame every problem on someone else. Take responsibility for the part you can improve, while also accepting that not everything is within your control. Honest reflection is not self-criticism. It is one of the fastest paths to wisdom. The more willing you are to learn from your setbacks, the less likely you are to repeat them. At the same time, do not become trapped in the past. Reflection is valuable, but dwelling endlessly on old failures serves no purpose. Learn the lesson, make the adjustment, and keep moving forward. Carry the wisdom with you, not the regret. Your future deserves more of your attention than your past. Remember that your character is built during difficult seasons, not comfortable ones. Anyone can remain hopeful when everything is going well. The true test of growth comes when life becomes uncertain. Will you become bitter or wiser? Will you quit or adapt? Will you allow disappointment to shrink your confidence, or will you let it deepen your resilience? Those choices shape the person you become. As you continue your journey toward becoming your best self, welcome every setback as an opportunity to grow stronger. Do not measure your life by the number of times you fall. Measure it by the number of times you rise with greater wisdom than before. Every challenge you overcome leaves you more prepared for the next opportunity. In the end, your greatest victories may not come because life was easy. They may come because every setback quietly upgraded the person you chose to become. Chapter 13. Build a life that reflects your values. The quality of your life is not determined only by what you achieve, it is also determined by what you stand for. Long after accomplishments are forgotten and awards gather dust, your values continue speaking through the way you treat people, the promises you keep, and the decisions you make when no one is watching. Your values are like a compass. They do not remove life's challenges, but they help you stay on the right path when the road becomes confusing. Many people spend years chasing success without first deciding what success actually means to them. They pursue bigger goals, greater recognition, or more possessions simply because everyone else seems to be doing the same. But reaching a destination that does not match your values will never bring lasting fulfillment. You can climb the wrong ladder with incredible determination and still discover that it was leaning against the wrong wall. That is why your values must guide your ambitions instead of following them. Values are the principles that remain steady even when circumstances change. Honesty, kindness, responsibility, humility, courage, patience, generosity, and integrity are not temporary strategies. They are enduring qualities that shape every area of your life. When your choices are rooted in these principles, you experience something that success alone cannot provide, a sense of inner peace. You no longer need to wonder whether you made the right decision because your values have already given you the answer. One of the greatest challenges in life is remaining true to your values when it would be easier not to. It is easy to be honest when telling the truth costs nothing. It is easy to be patient when everything is going your way. It is easy to be kind when everyone treats you well. But your character is revealed when honesty is uncomfortable, patience is tested, and kindness is not returned. Those are the moments that define who you truly are. Imagine a lighthouse standing along a rocky shoreline. Storms come and go, powerful waves crash against it, thick fog hides the horizon. Yet the lighthouse remains where it was built, continuing to guide ships safely through the darkness. Your values should function in the same way. Circumstances will change, opinions will shift, challenges will appear unexpectedly. But if your principles remain steady, they will continue guiding your decisions even during life's most difficult seasons. Living according to your values also makes decision-making much simpler. Instead of asking, "What is easiest?" you begin asking, "What is right?" Instead of asking, "What will impress other people?" you ask, "What reflects the kind of person I want to become?" These questions remove much of the confusion that comes from constantly seeking approval. When your values are clear, your direction becomes clearer as well. It is also important to understand that your values should appear in your daily actions, not just your words. Anyone can claim to value health, but those values become visible through daily choices. Anyone can say they value family, but those values are demonstrated by giving time, attention, and presence to loved ones. Anyone can speak about honesty, but integrity is proven through consistent actions, especially when no one else would ever know the difference. Values become meaningful only when they are practiced. Take a moment to consider the values you want your life to represent. If someone observed your daily habits without hearing you speak, what would they conclude matters most to you? Would they see generosity, discipline, compassion, curiosity, courage, or would they see constant distraction, impatience, and endless busyness? This question is not meant to create guilt. It is meant to create awareness. Awareness is the first step toward meaningful change. One helpful practice is to choose a few core values and intentionally revisit them each morning. Before the day begins, remind yourself of the qualities you want to live by. Throughout the day, allow those principles to guide your conversations, your work, and your reactions. At the end of the evening, reflect honestly. Did your actions align with your values today? If not, what can you improve tomorrow? This simple habit gradually closes the gap between the person you want to become and the person you are becoming. Living by your values also gives you strength during difficult decisions. There will be moments when shortcuts appear tempting, when compromise seems easier, or when following the crowd feels safer than standing alone. During those moments, your values become your anchor. They remind you that temporary comfort is never worth sacrificing lasting character. A strong reputation can take years to build and only moments to lose. Protect it by remaining faithful to the principles that matter most. As you continue becoming the best version of yourself, remember that people may forget many things about you. They may forget what you owned, where you worked, or how many accomplishments you collected, but they will remember how you treated them. They will remember whether your words matched your actions. They will remember the example your life set. Build a life that reflects your deepest values every single day. Let integrity guide your decisions, kindness shape your relationships, courage strengthen your choices, and humility keep you teachable. When your life is built on principles instead of popularity, you gain something far greater than temporary success. You gain the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are becoming the person you were always meant to be. Chapter 14. Keep reinventing yourself before life forces you to. Life never stands still. Whether you notice it or not, the world continues changing every day. New opportunities appear, industries evolve, relationships grow, and priorities shift. The person who refuses to change eventually finds themselves struggling to keep up with a world that has already moved forward. That is why one of the greatest habits you can develop is the habit of continual reinvention. Do not wait until circumstances force you to change. Choose to grow before growth becomes your only option. Many people confuse consistency with staying the same. They believe that if they have found a comfortable routine, they should protect it at all costs. But consistency does not mean repeating yesterday forever. It means remaining faithful to your values while becoming wiser, stronger, and more capable over time. Your principles should remain steady, but your skills, thinking, and habits should continue improving. A tree keeps the same roots throughout its life, yet every year it grows new branches. You should do the same. One of the quiet dangers of success is comfort. After reaching a goal, it is easy to believe that you have finally arrived. You stop learning with the same curiosity. You stop asking difficult questions. You stop challenging yourself because the familiar feels safe. At first, nothing seems wrong, but little by little, progress slows. Eventually you realize that the world has continued advancing while you have remained exactly where you were. Growth is not something you finish. It is something you practice for the rest of your life. Think back to who you were 5 years ago. The way you thought, the skills you had, and the decisions you made were probably different from who you are today. Hopefully, you have become a little wiser through experience. You have learned lessons that could only come through living. Now ask yourself another question. Who do I want to become 5 years from today? If the answer looks exactly like the person you are now, you may have stopped imagining your own potential. Reinvention begins with curiosity. Curious people never assume they know everything. They ask questions. They seek different perspectives. They remain open to better ideas, even when those ideas challenge long-held beliefs. This attitude keeps the mind flexible. Instead of fearing change, curious people see change as an invitation to learn. They understand that every new skill acquired and every new perspective gained expands the possibilities available to them. Another important part of reinvention is letting go of identities that no longer serve you. Sometimes people continue living according to old labels they accepted years ago. They still think of themselves as shy, unlucky, disorganized, impatient, or incapable, even though they have already begun growing beyond those descriptions. Holding on to an outdated identity limits future growth. You are not required to remain the person you were simply because that person feels familiar. Give yourself permission to outgrow old limitations. This also means being willing to leave behind habits that once seemed acceptable. Perhaps there was a time when wasting hours each day did not seem important. Perhaps negative thinking had become a normal part of your life. Maybe you surrounded yourself with people who discouraged your dreams. Reinvention requires honesty. You must be willing to ask, does this habit still belong in the life I want to build? If the answer is no, have the courage to replace it with something better. One of the most valuable questions you can ask yourself regularly is, what needs to change before my future can change? Sometimes the answer involves learning a new skill. Sometimes it involves improving your health. Sometimes it means becoming a better listener, a more patient parent, a wiser leader, or a more disciplined steward of your time. The answer will be different for everyone, but the willingness to ask the question keeps you moving forward instead of standing still. Do not fear beginning again. Starting over is not the same as failing. There are seasons in life when you will need to rebuild, redirect, or rethink your plans. That is not a sign that you have lost your way. It is often a sign that you have outgrown your previous chapter. Every meaningful life includes moments of renewal. The strongest people are not those who never change direction. They are those who recognize when change is necessary and embrace it with wisdom instead of resistance. It is also important to celebrate growth without becoming satisfied by it. Be grateful for how far you have come, but remain excited about how far you can still go. Gratitude keeps you grounded, while ambition keeps you moving. Together they create a healthy balance. You appreciate today's progress without allowing it to become tomorrow's limit. The journey of becoming your best self has no finish line. There is always another lesson to learn, another strength to develop, another fear to overcome, and another opportunity to serve others more effectively. That should not discourage you. It should inspire you. Every new stage of life offers another chance to become a better version of yourself than the one who entered it. Keep reinventing yourself before life forces you to. Choose growth before comfort becomes complacency. Stay teachable, remain curious, and never allow yesterday's success or yesterday's failure to define tomorrow's possibilities. The best version of yourself is not hidden somewhere in the distant future. It is created each time you have the courage to let go of who you used to be so you can become who you are truly capable of becoming. Chapter 15. Live each day as the best version of yourself. By now, you have explored ideas that can transform the direction of your life. You have learned that growth begins with identity, that responsibility creates freedom, that consistent habits shape your future, and that your character matters more than temporary success. But knowledge alone is never enough. A book can inspire you. A conversation can motivate you. A powerful idea can change the way you think for a moment, yet your life changes only when those ideas become part of the way you live. The best version of yourself is not someone you become once and then remain forever. It is someone you choose to become again every single day. Each morning, life quietly asks the same question: who will you choose to be today? Your answer is found not in your words, but in your actions. It is found in the way you greet people, the way you respond to setbacks, the way you spend your time, and the promises you choose to keep. Every ordinary day gives you another opportunity to become the person you have been working toward throughout this audiobook. It is easy to believe that greatness is built through extraordinary moments. While those moments certainly matter, they are surprisingly rare. Most of your life will be lived in ordinary routines. You will wake up, go to work, solve problems, have conversations, make decisions, and return home. These ordinary moments may not seem important on their own, but together they become the story of your life. If you learn to live ordinary days with extraordinary intention, remarkable results will eventually follow. One of the greatest shifts you can make is to stop asking, "How successful can I become?" and begin asking, "How valuable can I become?" Success often follows those who focus on creating value. A person who develops wisdom, integrity, discipline, kindness, and reliability naturally becomes someone others trust and respect. Instead of chasing recognition, focus on becoming the kind of person whose actions speak louder than titles or achievements. There will be seasons when progress feels exciting. You will notice positive changes in your thinking, your habits, and your confidence. Celebrate those moments with gratitude. But there will also be seasons when growth feels slow. You may wonder whether your daily efforts are making any difference at all. During those times, remember that meaningful change is often invisible before it becomes obvious. A tree spends years strengthening its roots before reaching impressive heights. In the same way, your quiet acts of discipline are building a foundation that will support future opportunities. Never compare your journey to someone else's. Every person begins from a different place. Every life carries different challenges, responsibilities, and experiences. Comparison steals joy because it shifts your attention away from your own progress. Instead of measuring yourself against another person, measure yourself against who you were yesterday. Ask whether you are becoming a little wiser, a little kinder, a little more disciplined, and a little more courageous than before. That is the comparison that truly matters. It is also important to remember that becoming your best self does not mean becoming perfect. You will still make mistakes. You will still have days when your patience runs short or your motivation disappears. Do not allow those moments to convince you that all your progress has been lost. Growth is not the absence of failure. Growth is the willingness to learn, adjust, and continue moving forward. Every time you begin again instead of giving up, you strengthen the person you are becoming. As your character grows, allow your success to benefit other people. Encourage someone who is struggling. Share what you have learned. Listen with patience. Lead with humility. Offer kindness without expecting anything in return. The best version of yourself does not exist only for personal achievement. It exists so you can leave every person and every place a little better than you found them. A meaningful life is measured not only by what you accomplish, but also by the positive influence you have on others. Continue asking yourself meaningful questions throughout your life. Am I living according to my values? Am I protecting what matters most? Am I learning, growing, and serving with the gifts I have been given? These questions keep your attention focused on what truly matters instead of becoming distracted by temporary success or momentary setbacks. They remind you that personal growth is a lifelong practice, not a destination you eventually reach. One day, years from now, you will look back on the choices you are making today. You will not remember every ordinary morning or every small decision, but those moments will have quietly shaped the person you became. The books you read, the habits you built, the conversations you had, the fears you overcame, and the values you lived by will all come together to tell the story of your life. So live each day with intention. Keep learning when it would be easier to stay comfortable. Keep choosing integrity when shortcuts appear tempting. Keep showing kindness when the world feels impatient. Keep moving forward when progress seems slow. Keep believing that every small decision matters, because it does. The best version of yourself is not waiting at the end of some distant destination. It is revealed one choice at a time, one habit at a time, and one day at a time. Every sunrise gives you another opportunity to become a little stronger, a little wiser, and a little closer to the person you were created to be. Accept that opportunity with gratitude, live it with purpose, and never stop becoming the very best version of yourself. Conclusion. Every meaningful journey eventually reaches a moment when the lessons must become a way of life. This is that moment. You have traveled through ideas that challenge the way you think, shape the way you act, and strengthen the person you are becoming. But the true value of this audiobook will never be measured by how much you remember. It will be measured by what you choose to do after you finish listening. The best version of yourself has never been hidden somewhere beyond your reach. It has been growing quietly within you every time you chose courage instead of fear, discipline instead of excuses, kindness instead of anger, and progress instead of perfection. Becoming your best self is not about transforming into someone completely different. It is about becoming more fully the person you are capable of being. Remember that lasting change rarely arrives through one dramatic moment. It grows through ordinary days filled with intentional decisions. Every time you wake up with purpose, keep a promise to yourself, learn something new, respond with patience, or choose integrity when no one is watching, you are shaping your future. These moments may seem too small to matter, but together they become the foundation of an extraordinary life. There will be days when everything feels possible. You will feel energized, confident, and excited about your future. During those moments, keep moving forward with gratitude. But there will also be days when progress feels invisible. You may question whether your efforts are making any difference. You may become tired, discouraged, or tempted to return to old habits. Those are the moments that matter most. Anyone can continue when the path is easy. Growth belongs to those who continue when the journey becomes difficult. Never allow one bad day to become a bad life. Everyone stumbles. Everyone experiences disappointment. Everyone faces moments of doubt. What separates people who continue growing from those who remain stuck is not perfection. It is persistence. They refuse to let temporary setbacks become permanent identities. They learn, adjust, and begin again. Every fresh start strengthens the person they are becoming. As you move forward, continue asking yourself simple but powerful questions. Am I becoming wiser than I was yesterday? Am I living according to my values? Am I treating people with respect and kindness? Am I using my time intentionally? Am I growing instead of merely getting older? These questions will keep you focused on what truly matters long after the excitement of beginning has faded. Protect your mind from negativity that convinces you growth is impossible. Protect your time from distractions that steal your future. Protect your character by remaining honest even when dishonesty appears easier. Protect your dreams by refusing to let fear make your decisions. Every day your choices are writing the story of your life. Write a story that your future self will read with gratitude instead of regret. Do not wait for perfect conditions before taking action. There will always be another reason to postpone your goals, another challenge to overcome, or another excuse that sounds convincing. But life rewards those who begin before they feel completely ready. The first step may seem small, yet every remarkable achievement begins exactly that way, with one decision followed by another. Never stop learning. Never stop asking questions. Never stop improving. The moment you believe you have finished growing is the moment you begin standing still. Stay curious. Stay humble. Stay willing to become a better listener, a better leader, a better friend, a better parent, a better partner, and a better human being. Every season of life has something new to teach you if your heart remains open. Also remember that your growth is not only for your own benefit. The stronger your character becomes, the more positively you influence the people around you. Your patience may encourage someone who feels overwhelmed. Your integrity may inspire someone who has forgotten the importance of honesty. Your persistence may give another person the courage to continue during a difficult season. Often, the greatest impact you make will come simply by living the principles you believe in. Years from now, people may not remember every achievement you accomplished. They may not remember every goal you reached or every challenge you overcame, but they will remember how you made them feel. They will remember your kindness, your honesty, your reliability, and the example your life set. In the end, that is one of the greatest measures of success, not simply what you gained, but who you became and how you helped others become better along the way. As this audiobook comes to a close, remember that your journey is only beginning. Tomorrow morning, life will quietly place another opportunity in your hands, another opportunity to think differently, another opportunity to make a wiser choice, another opportunity to grow a little stronger than you were today. Do not underestimate the power of those opportunities. They may appear ordinary, but they are quietly shaping an extraordinary future. So walk forward with confidence, but remain humble. Dream boldly, but stay disciplined. Pursue success, but never sacrifice your values. Continue learning, continue serving, continue growing, and continue believing that the best version of yourself is not something you discover, it is something you create through the choices you make every single day. Your future is not waiting for luck, it is waiting for your next decision. Make it a good one.